So guys, today we'll be talking about regulations. So regulation is also one of the important topic, not only from examination point of view, but also when you join as a food safety officer or as a technical officer tomorrow. So these are the regulations which FSSAI keep releasing from time to time. So whenever they release such regulations, uh, I mean, for example, you see, there's a FSSAI Act, right? So there are not major changes which are made in the Act. Guys, is my voice audible to you? You have an FSSAI Act, right? So apart from Act, there are regulations which FSSAI keeps. I mean, it in order to keep itself update to the changing market trends, to the different foods which come into the market. I mean, with the change of time, so FSSAI also need to keep up with that changing trends, right? So in order to regulate all those new foods that come, so FSSAI release regulations. So today we'll be talking about packaging and labeling regulation. So these regulations, they were released in the year 2011. And also guys, tomorrow, whenever you revise tomorrow or whenever you revise this topic, so just make sure you have 2 to 3 different food packets with you. I mean, you can clearly read those things. Never have 2 3 food packets. So now, if you see packaging and labeling, so now in this, FSSAI has given clear directions. It has given clear regulation that how the package should be, how the labeling should be, right? So all these details, minute details, and but very important details, these are given in these regulations. So we'll cover all these. But whenever you revise it, please make sure you sit with 2 to 3 food packets with you, so that you can just look on the packet and verify, right, whether the things which are mentioned, has those things been implemented by the food business operator or not, right? So guys, if you see, first of all, definitely you would have seen best before. So this term best before is used on any food package, right? Be it any food packet. So this is mandatory to use. Best before date, if you see, it is nothing but the date that signifies the end of the period under any storage condition, right? So best before, it means nothing but the best before date from which the food must be consumed. And after the date passes, one must avoid consuming that food. And if you see, after the best before date, the food does not get spoiled. It has clearly mentioned that beyond that date, the food may still be perfectly safe to consume. It does not mean that today is the best before, today is the last date to consume the food. But in case if you are consuming it tomorrow also, it's safe to consume. But it is not advisable. Why? If you see, the quality may have diminished, right? For example, if you were supposed to get say 10 grams of nutrients from that food, that might reduce to say 2 grams or say 5 grams, right? So its quality gets diminished. So there is no point in consuming that. It does not mean that it is harmful for you. You can even consume it, but avoid that, right? That is what FSSAI is trying to say. Now, I think date of manufacture, everyone knows. So on the date on which the product was manufactured, and the date of packaging. So this is also is required to be mentioned on the package. Then you can just skip this infant. It's just a normal definition. And then lot number, code number, or batch number. So whenever there is any packaged food that is manufactured, so it is mandatory to mention either the lot number or code number or batch number, because whenever tomorrow, if the food is sold in the market and the company wants to recall that food, right? You remember we read about the recall, how recall is done, right? So during that time, company can take decision, so which lot to be recalled, because you would not like to recall all your products, right? Million of products you sell in the market, but a lot number helps you to specify which lot got contaminated, right? So lot number is very important, or it could be code number or batch number, right? So yeah, I mean, these are just simple definitions which you can go through: multi-piece package, then non-vegetarian food, then pre-packaged or pre-packaged food. So these are simple definitions. Just go through it. Nothing, much to understand in this. So now, then comes the principal display panel. So if you see, this means that the part of the container or the package which is intended or likely to be displayed or presented or shown or examined by the customer under the normal or customary condition. So normally, guys, whenever you go to a supermarket, so you would have seen the first thing that you see on the shelf, that is the principal display panel. I mean the things which you see on the packet, right, the main container. So that is known as principal display panel. I mean, they would give you all the details on that, your ingredients, your all the best before dates, lot number, batch number. So that is basically known as principal display panel, right? Then also on few foods, they recommend to mention the use by date or recommended last consumption date or expiry date. Again, these are mandatory to mention on the food packets as per the FSSAI guidelines. And also then simple definition, what is vegetarian food, then wholesale package. So wholesale package is nothing but a bigger package which contains smaller another number of packages, right? So that is known as wholesale package. Then further coming to, guys, these are just definitions, just go through it, right? So now there's a chapter 2 in this regulation that talks about packaging. So in packaging, so guys, if you see, these are the regulations which are meant for the food business operators, because they are the guys who manufacture these products and are and for whom it's mandatory to implement these things, right? But since tomorrow you are going to join as a food safety officer or a technical officer, so as you know, technical officer is going to help to formulate these regulations. So all these regulations, so technical officers, they play a very important role in making all these regulations. But food safety officers, so whenever they go on inspection, so they come in direct contact with these things, right? Whenever they pick up the packet, so they need to know these regulations, what is it, how the regulations have been updated, what is going on currently in the market. Because whenever FSSAI has to come up with new regulations, they take up input of all the stakeholders, even food safety officers, even technical officers, even their scientific team. So everyone needs to be aware what is going on in the market and what is present in their current regulation and how it can be further improved, right? So if you see, guys, in the packaging regulation, if you see, a utensil or a container which is made up of the following material or metal, when used in preparation, packaging, and storage of the food, shall deemed rendered to be unfit for human consumption. So if the food in which if the container in which the food is prepared, so if it is rusty, or if it has chipped or rusty material, or it is made up of copper or brass, or container made up of aluminium not conforming with chemical composition of Indian standards 20 specification of cast aluminium. So these are nothing but these are the simple international standards. You need not to remember this. Just remember this, that whenever any food container or a container in which food is prepared, it should not be rusty. I think we read this in uh, a schedule 4 requirement, right? So there is again a small repetition here. The container should not be rusty, it should not be chipped, it should not be of copper or brass, and also if it is of aluminium, it should follow specific Indian international standards, right? And you need not to remember these standards. There's no point, because no question would be asked from international standards, right? So just a second, guys, give me a second. Hello. Yeah, sorry. So now coming to, if so this was about the uh, if food business operator, they are using the metallic containers, but when they are using the plastic material, so plastic material, it must conform to all these standards, international standards. So now if you recall, I taught you about the different food packaging material, right? Different food packaging material which are available in the market. And I also told you the harmful effects which those materials can have on our health. But now, if you see, FSSAI has given clear regulations. So the type of plastic which must be used for packaging the food. And normally, if you go to the market, you would have seen there are a lot of plastic material which is used for packaging the food. So as per FSSAI regulation, the plastic containers or the plastic material in which the food is packaged, they must conform to all these standards. And again, you need not to remember these standards, but yeah, I mean, just go through it once, right? So because tomorrow, whenever you join as a food safety officer, I mean, they would expect you to, remember few points. And also, I mean, there's no harm in remembering, right? So, but I mean, if you skip from the examination point of view, that's well and good. So just go through these things, right? For example, if you see specification for polyethylene in contact with the foodstuff. So polyethylene, if it is used in the packaging material, so it should conform to 100, that is 10,146 international standards. So this is the code, right? So again, if it is made up of styrene polymer, so it should conform to these standards. And don't go and read what these standards are. That is just wastage of your time, right? So again, if the plastic is made up of polyvinyl chloride, so it must conform to this standard. And similarly, whatever plastic is used, it should conform to these standards because these are comparatively safe, right? So now next you see, then general packaging required for canned products. Now we also read about different packaging, and in that we also read about canning. So now FSSAI has also given different regulation for canned products. If you see, all containers shall be securely packed and sealed. So canned containers, if they are not securely packed, then there is no point, right? It would get contaminated. So FSSAI said it should be pure securely packed and sealed, and the exterior of the can shall be free from major dents, rust, or any perforations or seam distortions. So yeah, I mean, again, any dent or the rust, because the can at the end of the day, it's made up of tin. So if there is any rust or if there is any dent, it might again, spoil the food, which is not safe for consumers. And further, can shall be free from leaks. Yeah, I mean, these are basic things. So whenever you revise, I mean, just go through it. You need to just, remember these things. I mean, there can be any question from these points or there cannot be any question. But yeah, I mean, whenever you read these points, just make sure you keep any different food packages, right? So it would give you a better clarity. Right. So, and whenever in examination, any question comes from that packet, or sorry, any question comes from this topic. So even if you have that image of that packet, right, you can relate. Yeah, I saw this term in that food packet, right? So you can easily answer that, right? So I mean, FSSA exam is really interesting because you can relate it to everyday thing. So you eat food every day, right? So I mean, yeah, it's really interesting. So now coming to the product specification requirements. So now there are different products. For example, now first of all, we'll talk about milk products. So in milk products, what are the packaging requirements? So if you see, first point, bottling or filling of the container with heat treated milk and milk product shall be carried out mechanically, and the sealing of the container shall be carried out automatically. So if you see here, FSSAI has clearly mentioned, so whenever there is a filling, there is a bottling, whenever the milk is bottled, or if it is filled in the container, so it should be properly heated, it should be properly uh, sterilized, right? And then the container should be sealed automatically. So this is one of the requirement. And further, if you see, wrapping or packing may not be reused for dairy products. So once the dairy package, if it has been used, it should not be reused. That is what they're trying to say here. Except, but there is an exception. It can be reused, and where it can be reused, they have clearly mentioned, where the container are of type which may be reused after through cleaning and disinfecting. So if that bottle or if that package is of recycled or reused material, so then they can be used after cleaning and disinfecting. But they, I mean, clearly avoid, the FSSAI regulation clearly mentioned that it should not be reused, especially in case of dairy products. Also, if you see, sealing shall be carried out in an establishment in which the last heat treatment of the drinking milk or the liquid milk product has been carried out immediately after filling. So if you see here, guys, FSSAI, they are trying to say here that in the bottling, right, there's a separate area in the manufacturing unit where milk is processed, and then milk is taken through a transport line to the packaging area. So now wherever the packaging is taking place, FSSAI is clearly saying the sealing, that the bottles or the package, it should be sealed then and there in that same room, because again, I mean, food is a uh, food comes in high risk food, right? So high risk food, they are very prone to attacked by microbes or contamination. So they are clearly saying sealing must of the food package must be take place in the same area where the filling has taken place, right? So immediately after packing, the dairy product shall be placed in the room provided for the storage. So yeah, I mean, again, since food is a high risk food, milk is a high risk food, so they clearly mentioned that it should be stored in a desired location with appropriate temperature, right? That is 4 to 5 degrees Celsius. So now coming to the packaging requirement for edible oils and fats. So every day you eat, I mean, in your vegetables, you add oil and fats, right? So now if you see how their packaging is decided. So tin plate used for manufacture of tin container or the packaging edible oil and fat shall conform to the standards of prime grade quality contained in BIS standards. So now whenever the tin plate containers, you would have seen there are bigger packages, right? At home that you get, those are small packages, for example, say 1 liter. But whenever these food business operators, like bigger manufacturers, whenever they buy it in bulk, I mean bigger tin containers, right? So all those tin containers, they must conform to all the BIS standards which are provided here. So now don't go in detail, you need not to remember this, that would be just wastage of your time. So avoid it, right? Just remember that they should conform to the BIS standard tin plate for edible oil. So now coming to the packaging requirement for fruit and vegetable products. So you would have seen there are a lot of fruit and vegetable products like juices, then jams, then jellies. I mean, you just name it, ketchups and candies, whatever, right? So there are specific standards for packaging these items as well. So if you see, every container in which any food product is packaged shall be sealed, that it cannot be opened without destroying the license number and the specific special identification mark of the manufacturer to be displayed on the top of the neck of the bottle. So you would have seen whenever you go to any supermarket, whenever you see a tin container, right? So especially with jams and jellies, so you would have seen they would have marked a lot of details on the top of the tin, right? That is on the top of the neck of the bottle. So there's a reason, because the food can be removed only after breaking that seal, right? So this is one of the checkpoint where it can be found out whether there has been any whether someone has tried to open that can, so that if they try to open that can, then identification mark, it would go away, right? So this is very, very important. And further, if you see, for canned fruits, vegetables, and other juices, sanitary top can made up of suitable kind of tin plate should be used. So again, they are recommending here the tin plate containers must be used, right? And top cans. So the cans which open from the top, right? And further, if you see, for bottled fruit, juices, vegetables, only bottled jar capable of giving hermetic seal shall be used. So hermetic seal is nothing but airtight sealing. So we read about how canning is done, right? So similar way, whenever any bottled fruit, juices, or vegetables are used, the can should be hermetically sealed, right? Then further comes to juices, squashes, crush, cordials, and they should be packed in clean bottles, securely sealed. I mean, these are very, very general things, right? So just go through it. There's nothing rocket science which is used. These are very, very basic things, right? Even you practice all these things at your home. So just go through it. I'm skipping this point because there is no point reading, each and every point. So just go through it tomorrow whenever you revise it. Right. So now coming to the packaging required for canned meat products. Now we talk about how canned meat should be packaged. So if you see, new sanitary top cans made from suitable kind of tin plate shall be used. Again, here they are mentioning sanitary top cans, the cans which open from the top. So they should be used, right? And it should be made up of a particular tin plate quality, which is given by BIS standards, and can shall be lacquered internally. So I remember I told you how the cans are lacquered, right? There's a layer, plastic layer, which is used so that food does not come in direct contact with the inner layer of the tin can. So there's a lacquer, there's a thin plastic layer which is used, and they shall be sealed hermetically after filling. So hermetically again means airtight sealing. So in canning process, we did it in detail. So in case you have any doubt, you can refer that lecture. So the lacquer should be sulfur resistant and should not be soluble in fat and brine, right? So this is again a general instruction. And can used for filling pork meat shall be coated internally with the edible gelatin, lard, or lined with the vegetable parchment paper. So again, I mean, this is again the guideline for food business operators. There's nothing to remember in this, right? So further, the meat product packed in hermetically sealed container shall be processed to withstand spoilage under commercial storage conditions and transportation. So guys, this is important. Whenever the food is packaged, it shall be hermetically sealed, because as I told you, during the, I mean, food passes through thousands of hand when it reaches, before it reaches to the consumer, right? So if the cans are hermetically sealed, only then the food can be protected for storage during storage and transportation, right? So hermetical sealing is very, very important. So now comes to the packaging requirement for drinking water. So everyone, you would have purchased once in your lifetime, all those Kinley and all those different mineral water bottles which are available. So all these bottles, they are made up of plastic, right? And you know, plastic is very, very dangerous for our health. But for those, FSSAI has given clear regulations. So if the plastic bottle is made up of polyethylene, so it should conform to this standard, that is ISO 10,146, right? Then if it's made up of polyvinyl chloride, it should conform to this standard. So I mean, this is again a repetition that we read in our first point. So just go through it once, I mean, just for your knowledge, right? So you can just remember 2-3 numbers. Again, these are very few numbers, right? So just remember in sequence: 101 46, 101 51, right? 12 252, 10 910. So these are very, very easy to remember. You can just remember this. In case FSSAI wants to toughen the exam, they can ask you, but normally they won't ask, right? So now, guys, we talk about the packaging of the different foods. So now we'll talk about the labeling requirements. So now you would have seen, whenever you go to market, there are fancy labels and, you know, different type of claims which are made on the food packets, and different ingredient types which are used. So all these food business operator, they label their food products only after reading all these regulations, because these regulations are very, very important, and all the food business operator must adhere to all these regulations. So general requirements, if you see, every packaged food shall carry a label. So this is very, very important. Label should always be there, right? Without label, no food shall be sold in the market, and it should contain information as required here under. So all the information which is mentioned here, it should be present on the label. So first, if you see, the particulars of the declaration required and the regulation to be specified on the label shall be in the English, Hindi, or Devanagari script. So any particulars on any declaration required under these regulations, I mean, any declaration, there are different declaration. We'll talk about that in detail, right, in later part of this video. So there are few declaration, mandatory declaration. For example, there might be any food warning, right? So all those must be provided. It can be provided in any of this language, either Hindi, English, or Devanagari. Hindi in Devanagari script, right? So provided that nothing herein shall prevent the use of any other language. So they have clearly mentioned, for example, in India, you know, we have diverse culture, so even local language can be used, but one of these language is mandatory, but also the local language can also be used to package the food. So third point, pre-packaged food shall not be described or presented on any label or in any labeling manner that is false, misleading, or deceptive, or is likely to create erroneous impression. So now, guys, if you see, whenever you go to market, a lot of this food packets, they write sugar free or oil free, fat free. So FSSAI has clearly mentioned those labels should not make false claims or the claims which could mislead to the consumer, right? So, I mean, if there is such any claims, and if food business operator, they are not able to prove those claims, then there's a certain punishment which there's a certain fine which they need to pay. So this fine and punishments, it's given in FSSAI Act, right? So now, fourth, if you see, label in pre-packaged food shall be applied in such a manner they will not be separated from the container. Again, it's a very basic thing. It should be patched properly to the container. And then fifth point, content of the label shall be clear, prominent, indelible, and readily legible. I mean, it should be very, very clear to the food, to the consumer. It should be prominent. It should be indelible, that it is not easily removed, and it should be readily legible, right? It can be easily readable to the consumer at the first glance. Then when the container is covered by a wrapper, or the wrapper shall carry the necessary information. So for example, you would have seen a chocolate packet, right? So in a bigger chocolate packet, there are small, like 10 to 8 chocolates, small chocolates, right? So the wrapper, the outer package, main package, it should also contain the important information which should be readily legible through the wrapper, right? And it should not be obscured by it, right? So all the details also should be given on the wrapper. So now coming to the labeling of the pre-packaged food. So now further they have given in detail. So what all the details should be, this is very, very interesting, guys. This is really interesting. Whenever you, now when you read this, so I mean, you can relate it, right? So now if you see labeling of the pre-packaged, so first of all, name of the food. So on every packet you have seen, there is a name of the food. So the name of the food shall include the trade name or the description of the food contained in the package. So name of the food, it can contain these details. Either it could be the trade name, for example, Britannia biscuits, right? So Britannia is a trade name and biscuit is a product. It can be a trade name or the description of the food which is contained in the packet. So then comes the list of ingredient. So if you see, except for a single ingredient food, a list of the ingredients shall be declared on the label. So guys, they are saying that if a food is a single ingredient food, for example, your salt and your sugar, your jaggery, right? So all these foods are single ingredients. So in those case, list of ingredient, it's not mandatory. And even if you go and see in your kitchen, your sugar packet, you would see there is no ingredient list mentioned, right? Why? Because FSA said for single ingredient, there need not to be any list of ingredient. But the list of ingredients shall contain an appropriate title, such as, so yeah, I mean, whenever there is a list of ingredient, it should have a proper title on the package, that is ingredient, right? And the name of the ingredient used in the product shall be listed in the descending order of their composition by weight or volume. So all the ingredient, if you see, they are mentioned in the descending order, right? So the ingredient that is used in the higher quantity, that is named first, then followed by the other ingredients, right? So this is what they have mentioned in this regulation, that it should be in descending order, and the specific name shall be used for the ingredient in the list of ingredients. So they are saying clearly here that a specific name should be used for what all the ingredients that are used. There should be a specific name which should be used for all those ingredients, right? So now if you see, provided that the ingredients falling in the respective classes, the class title. So now FSSAI said, they say that if food, it falls in these categories, in this is one class, right? So if you see the title class, so some food may broadly fall in this class, so they can simply use these class titles. So they need not to provide each and every detail. They can use only simple class title. That is, for example, if there is a package of edible vegetable oil, so only simple edible vegetable oil or edible vegetable fat can be mentioned on that packet, right? So now if animal fat is used, animal fat or oil other than milk fat, just remember animal fat and oil other than milk fat, if it is used in the product, then give the name of the source of the fat. For example, pork fat, lard, or beef fat, right? So if animal fat is used, so the name of the animal is very, very important to be mentioned on that package food. Now, if starch is used, starch other than chemically modified starch, so the starch can be mentioned. So you would have seen, right, in the list of ingredients. So just simply mentioned starch is used, then edible vegetable oils are used, And yeah, I mean, then further, if all species of fish, if it's a food fish, if that food contains a fish ingredient, so simply they can mention fish, right? So now coming to the poultry, if that food packet, if it contains all poultry meat, so any kind of poultry meat, they can just mention poultry meat, right? And all type of cheese, for all type of cheese, they can simple mention cheese. They need not to specify whether it is, I mean, a Swiss cheese or I mean any another cheese, right? So just they can mention simple cheese. That cheese is one of the ingredient of this food. And for all spices, condiments, and their extracts, for different type of spices which they use, they can just mention spices or condiment or mix of spices. And also if you see, for different type of gums which are used, for example in chewing gum, so they can just mention gum base. They need not to specify which gum base is used. And also for anhydrous dextrose, they can mention dextrose or glucose. Or for casinates, they can simply mention casinates. And for cocoa butter, they can simply mention cocoa butter, crystallized food. Then for milk solid, they can just mention milk solid, then cocoa solids, right? So these are the specific class titles which they can mention in the ingredient list, right? So further, where an ingredient itself is the product of two or more ingredients, then a compound ingredient shall be declared in the list. So guys, sometime you would have seen the ingredient, for example, in Maggi, right? In Maggi, that masala packet that you add, so it is made up of different ingredients. There is a salt, there is a sugar, there's a different mixture of condiments which is used. So in that case, they can just mention compound ingredient. They need not to give in detail what all the ingredients that are used in that masala packet. They can just mention that it is a compound ingredient, right? So further, added water shall be declared in the list of ingredients. So guys, this is very important. Even if water, you know, water is always used whenever any food is prepared, majority of the time water is used. So if water is added in that water, it should also be declared in the list of ingredients. So tomorrow, whenever if you see any food packet, so just see water is also added as a part of the ingredient. So further, if you see, provided that water or other volatile ingredients evaporate in the course of manufacture, need not to be declared. So now water must be declared, but when it should not be declared, when water is only used for preparation, but in the final product, there is no water present, right? So in that case, water should not be mentioned, right? So further, if you see fifth point, F point, every package of food sold as a mixture or a combination shall disclose the percentage of the ingredients used at the time of manufacture of the food. So now if you see, uh, I mean, if it's a mixture, right? Every package of food sold or as a mixture or combination should disclose percentage of the ingredient. So even you would have seen there's a certain percentage. For example, in Maggi masala, this is just an example. All right. So they ideally they must declare this much salt is used, right? This much of sugar is used. So that is ideally which the food business manufacturer, they must declare it in the form of percentage, right? Yeah, provided that where the ingredient has been used as a flavoring agent, a disclosure of such ingredients is not required. So again, guys, the flavoring agent, because in lot of foods, flavoring agent is used. So that is why you would have seen they do not mention it in percentage form, right? Because they have clearly mentioned if it acts as a flavoring agent, then they need not to provide it in the percentage form, right? So next come the nutritional information. So after ingredients, there is a nutritional information column. So nutritional information column, it provides you the information based on per 100 gram, right? So nutrient information per 100 grams. So in 100 gram of the food that you consume, so how much energy it can provide, right? The amount of protein, carbohydrates, or the fat which is present in 100 gram of food, right? So the amount of any other nutrient which is present in the nutritional or health claim is made. So I mean, in the 100 gram of package, the nutritional information is calculated and displayed on the packet, right? So now, whenever tomorrow, when you see any packet, if that package is of 1 kg, but the nutritional information is given of 100 grams. So now you need to multiply it with 10. So that would give you the complete information about that complete packet, right? 1000 grams. Right. Further, if you see, wherever nutritional information or vitamin and mineral is declared, it shall be expressed in metric units. So now, vitamins and minerals, they should not be declared in form of milligrams or grams. Their respective units must be used. Further, the nutritional declaration is made per serving. The amount in grams or milliliter shall be included for reference beside the serving measure. So again, you would have seen, now the food packets, food business operator, they have also started mentioning the food, nutrition information per serving. So per serving means normally that you consume, for example, when you consume two biscuits, so this is the amount of energy which you can gain. So that is known as per serving. So even that needs to be declared, provided that the food claimed to be enriched with nutrients such as mineral, protein, vitamins, metals, their compounds shall give the quantity of such added minerals on those labels. So now again, I mean, if you know certain food means operator, if it's claiming that this food is high in minerals, protein, vitamins, so those quantities must be mentioned on the labels, right? So further, if you see, provided that the nutrition information may not be necessary. So now if you see, as I told you, on certain, as you know, in certain foods the ingredient list is not mandatory. So similarly, nutritional information is also not mandatory. And it's not mandatory on which food. If you see raw agriculture commodities, so raw agriculture commodities is nothing but your like your wheat or rice, cereals, spices. So in these, nutritional information should not be mentioned. And again, your table, salt, sugar, jaggery, then non-nutritive foods like coffee, coffee chicory, right? Packaged drinking water. So in all these foods, you would see there is no nutritional information presented on the label, right? So now, coming to the third point, the food in which the hydrogenated vegetable fat or bakery shortening is used shall declare on the label that hydrogenated fat is used. So guys, hydrogenated vegetable fat is nothing but vanaspati oil, right? So vanaspati oil, it's very, very dangerous, right? As I told you, it could lead to atherosclerosis. So now FSS has clearly said that you should mention the quantity. I mean, it should be declared on the label that we have used hydrogenated vegetable oil, so that consumer can make a wiser choice whether to purchase this product or not, right? So now, so now there are certain health claims and nutritional claims, right? So guys, health claims are nothing but, I'll explain you this in brief. So normally sometimes foods are sold as, you know, it can help to improve your body function. I mean, it could have various benefit on your day-to-day health. So those are the health claims. So now FSSAI has said, if you are making a health claim, so you should, you should have a proper documentation for that. You just cannot make your consumers fool, right? So health claims, if any company is making, so it should be provided by a proper study, proper scientific study, right? So there should be a proper backing to if any food business operator is making that claim, it should be backed by a proper study. So again, similarly in the nutritional claims, so it means any representation which states that implies that the food has a particular nutritional property which are not limited to the energy value of the protein, fats. So apart from these protein, fats, carbs, because these are normally present in the food. So apart from that, if any food business operator is making other nutritional claim, for example, it is rich in, you know, certain nutrients, so they need to prove those. They cannot just make the customer fool, right? So now coming to the declaration regarding veg and non-veg food. So again, you would have seen, so here it's not presented properly. Normally you would have seen, so for non-veg foods, there is a red dot, and for green vegetable foods, there is a for vegetarian foods, there is a green dot, right? So that this is again declaration which is mandatory, which should be provided for veg and non-vegetarian foods. So just remember this, nothing else, right? So yeah, this you can skip. Size of the logo, this is not required for you from the examination point of view. This is for the food business operator. Whenever they pack it, so they need to keep all these things in detail, minor details. What was the size of the logo, right? So for you, this is not important. So now coming to the declaration regarding food additives. So you would have seen different food additives are used. For example, antioxidant, then bulking agent, coloring agent, emulsifiers, right? Then floor treatment, then raising agent, preservative, humectants, gelling agent. And I think we did all this in our food additive class. So now can you relate it, right? As I told you, there are a lot of repetitions, right? So this is how you link your topics, right? So now, first point, if you see, for food additives falling in the respective classes and appearing in the list of additive permitted to for used in food generally, the following class title should be used. So normally, FSA has mentioned, so these are the terms which must be used on the label. So definitely you would have seen acid regulator, then emulsifier, humectant, preservatives, right? So that is why FSA has clearly mentioned. So these terms can be mentioned on the packet. Right. So further, if you see addition of the colors and the flavor, so extraneous addition of the coloring matter to be mentioned on the label. So if any color is used, so it should be not only color, if any flavoring agent is also used, so it should be clearly defined on the label. So you would have seen on the packet, so this line is mentioned, right? Contains permitted natural colors. Right, then contains permitted synthetic food colors, then contains permitted natural and synthetic food colors. So these are the lines which you would have seen on the packets, right? So these are as per the FSSAI regulation, right? So tomorrow, just pick a packet and just see these lines, right? Right. So further, you can skip all these points. Yeah, again, I mean, whenever any flavor is used, so it contains added flavor or contains permitted natural color or added flavors or contains permitted synthetic food color or added flavors or contains permitted natural synthetic food colors. So I mean, these are the general things. Nothing much to remember in these things. You can just skip this point. Not at all important, right? So now further, name and complete address of the manufacturer. So now on food packet, you would have seen. So all the food business operator, they mention their name and their complete address, and this is mandatory, right? So it must be mentioned on all food packets. And exception is those small packets. For example, if you eat a candy, right? So on candy, there is no space to mention the name of or the address of the manufacturer, right? So that is what they're saying. The name and complete address of the manufacturer or the manufacturing unit where it is located, it at different places. In case of manufacturer is not, in case of manufacturer is not the packer or the bottle, the name of the complete address of the packing and the bottling unit should also be mentioned, right? So they are saying here, manufacturer name and address should be mentioned, but also the name of the packing and bottling unit should also be mentioned on the packet, right? So further, if you see where an article is manufactured or packed or bottled by a person or the company under the written authority of some other manufacturing company under his brand name, the labeling shall carry the complete name and address of the manufacturer, packaging and bottling unit. Again, I mean, this again a repetition. If food manufacturer, he is manufacturing the food at his unit, but he is getting it packaged from another vendor. So the details of that vendor should also be provided. Right. Further, if you see net quantity, so net quantity again, I mean, net quantity also needs to be mentioned on the packet, right? So these are basic things. Just you go through it and I mean, there's nothing much to remember, right? So now lot number, code number, batch number. Again, as I told you, this is very important in case you can, trace your food. So whenever there is any recall to be made, so food can be easily traced, right? Then the date of manufacturing or packing, this is very important. Again, from this we can identify when the food would get expired, right? So this is also need to be mentioned mandatorily, provided, yeah, I mean, yeah, you can just go through it, provided at the month and the year of the manufacturing, packing and pre-packing shall be provided if the best before date of the product is more than 3 months. So in case of 3 months, if the food packet, if it can stay for more than 3 months, then a simple best before date can be provided, right? So provided further, in case of any packaged food contain commodity which has short shelf life of less than 3 months, then the date, month and year in which the commodity is manufactured, pre-packaged, shall be mentioned on the label. But if it is shelf life is less than 3 months, so then the date and month or the year can be mentioned on the commodity. Right. So then comes the best before or used by date. So now, I mean, again, best before date, month and year can be mentioned, or best before date, months from the packaging can be mentioned, best before month from manufacturing can be mentioned, then best before date, month, year. I mean, these are different patterns for different foods. Right. So just go through it. Nothing much to remember in this. Right. So further, if you see on package of aspartame, instead best before date, used by date is recommended. From the last consumption, expiry date shall be given, which shall not be more than 3 years. So I mean, in case of aspartame, FSSAI said don't mention best before date, but mention used by date, right? So in case of infant milk substitute or infant food, instead of best before date, use by date is recommended. Again, I mean, in certain foods, FSSAI is saying that don't mention best before date, use by date must be mentioned. Right, provided further the declaration of best before date for the consumption shall not be applicable to wine or liquor. So if you see on wine bottles, on alcoholic beverages, there is no best before date, because these are such, beverages which further get refined, or I mean, it improves the taste. For if you store it for more number of years, so that is why there is no point of mentioning best before date on wine or liquor bottles or alcoholic beverages, right? Further, if you see country of origin of imported food, so the country of origin of the food shall be declared on the label. So this is very, very important. If food is imported from any country, it should be clearly mentioned that yes, the food has been imported from this country. When a food undergoes a processing in the second country, which changes its nature, the country in which the processing is performed shall be considered. So now, guys, for example, India, any buyer, any food business operator, he is exporting, he is importing raw material from Canada. But that raw material, before coming to India, it goes to Europe for making of the final product. So that final product that comes to India, right? So now the current country of origin will not be Canada. In that case, the current country of origin would be Europe, because from Canada, he just purchased the raw material, but the final product was made in Europe, right? So country of origin ultimately should be Europe, which must be mentioned on the packet, right? And further, if you see, instruction of use must be given. So instruction for use, including reconstitution, for example, in infant foods, right? So there is a particular way how those food must be made, the quantity of water which must be added, right? So also there are certain Maggi packets, uh, canned Maggi, which comes in which you add just hot water and it's ready to use, right? So in those cases, instruction of use must be given in including reconstitution, right? So then manner of declaration. So I mean, you can just skip this topic. This is not at all important. So you just need to remember all those things which I taught you before. So you can just skip this complete part. And I mean, just go through it once. There is nothing important in this. Yeah, just we can cover this thing. Principal display panel. So this is important. So if you see principal display panel, the information required under this regulation shall be given on the principal display panel of the package or the container, and such information may be given in the following manner. So guys, principal display panel is nothing but the main packet, right? The main food packet. Whenever you go to supermarket, the first thing that you see, that is the principal display packet. So in this case, the information which shall be provided, it shall be given in the following manner. That is, all information shall be grouped together and given at one place. For example, if you see, list of ingredient is given in one place, then below that nutrition information is given, under that address of the manufacturer, best before date is given. So FSSAI is saying it should be grouped together, it should not be given at different places, so that it is visible at one glance to the consumer, right? So online information or those not pre-printed be grouped together in one place. So again, certain food, for example, for smaller packets, the food business operator, they provide the nutrition information on their website, right? So that is what they're saying. If the food is provided on online platform, so again, it should be grouped together in one place, so that in case the consumer wants visit their website and they want to check that information, that is available readily at one place, right? So now guys, this is important. So area of the principal display panel, right? So you know, there are different containers which are present in the market, right? So if you see, there are certain rectangular container, right? So if you see in that, 40% of the product height and width of the panel should, of the container should have of the largest area. So 40% of the container in case of the rectangular container, so 40% of the area should have the label, right? So the principal display panel should cover this much space, that is 40%. So in case the food container is cylindrical or round or nearly round, so in that case, so 20% of the area of that product, it should be provided for pasting the label, right? So in case of container of any other shape, 20% of the total surface area should be provided for pasting the label, right? So there is no compromise with these cases, right? So 40% is mandatory, 20% is mandatory in such containers, and 20% is again mandatory in these containers, right? So yeah, again, you can just skip this height of the numeral in declaration, because these are again for the food business operator. This is not for you. Here they have simply mentioned. So whenever you make any declaration, what should be the height of your, numericals, what should be your length of the, what type of font you should use, what should be their height, how much space you should use. So all those things, right? So now comes to, let's talk about specific requirements. So guys, this is important because now, these are the specific food. For example, labeling of the infant milk substitute or infant food. So the food which is given to the babies, newborn babies, right? So since the digestive system or the defense mechanism of the newborn babies is very, very prone to be attacked by different disease or the microbes. So in those cases, specific labeling conditions are provided so that uh, whenever the parents, whenever they choose any milk product, milk substitute for their kid, so they can make a wise decision, right? So if you see, in case of infant milk substitute or the infant food, so guys, there's a difference between infant milk substitute and infant food. So we'll talk about that in detail here. So an article of infant milk substitute or infant food whose standards are pre-prescribed under FSSAI food safety standard and food relative regulation shall be manufactured for sale, exhibited for sale, stored for sale only after obtaining the approval of such article of food and its label from the authority. So now guys, if you see, FSSAI has clearly said, before you paste any label or before you make any claims, especially in case of infant milk food, infant milk substitute, so they need to specially go to the FSSAI. They need to take the permission, because in normal cases, if you see, FSSAI has given the normal regulation, yes, that for such kind of food you can use such nutritional information. For another kind of food you can just put normal label. But when it comes to the infant milk food or infant milk substitute, so they need to take proper permission from the food authority. Then only they can label those foods, right? So further, if you see, without any prejudice to any other provisions relating to a labeling requirement contained in this regulation, every container of the infant milk food or infant milk substitute shall indicate in clear and conspicuous and easily readable manner important notice. So now if you see, maybe if you get a chance to visit market, so just pick any infant milk substitute or Cerelac. Cerelac is the one of the best example, right? So just pick a Cerelac pack. So you would see there's a something written as important notice. So in that important notice, FSSAI said you must clearly mention this: mother's milk is best for your baby. So mother's milk, there's no replacement for this. So this should be clearly mentioned, because sometimes, now it's a fast moving world. So now mothers, they don't like to nurse their baby. So instead they like to just buy a normal infant milk substitute from the market, and they like to provide to their baby. But now FSSAI and also various government programs, they promote that mothers should nurse their babies at least for first 6 months, right? So now FSSAI, they clearly mentioned that they don't want to encourage this, right? So that is why they say mother's milk is best for your baby. So this should be mentioned on those food packets, right? For the one which are meant for small babies, right? A statement that infant milk substitute or infant food should be used only on the advice of the health worker. Again, these infant food should be used only on the advice of health workers, that is doctors. Parents should not on their own go to the market and just buy this infant food. They should only take it on the advice of the health worker. And a warning that infant milk substitute or infant food is not for the sole source of nutrition. Yes, so these foods are the substitute. These are not the sole source of nutrient, right? So avoid giving your kids or avoid giving the kids such nutrients, because these are just These should be given in special cases where mother is facing from some issues where she cannot nurse the baby, right? So then there is no chance you can just give the infant milk substitute. But if mother is healthy, then FSSAI wants that they should nurse their child, and they should, I mean, it should be clearly mentioned on this, right? So this is not a sole source of nutrients, right? A statement indicating the process of the manufacture. So how that food is manufactured, it should be clearly mentioned on that packet, right? Then further warning. So further, if there is any warning related to, you know, there are certain warnings which would be mentioned, and hygienic preparation, how it should be prepared when it reaches to how much scoop should be used, how much water should be added. So all those the preparation declaration must be given on the packet, right? So storage condition must be specified, how it must be stored, and also feeding chart and direction should be given, because as I told you, the newborns, they are very, very delicate, right? So it's very, very important to follow all those instruction in this case. So instruction for using of the measuring scoop. So can you imagine, to such a level, I mean, to such minute details, FSSAI has given these regulation that even measuring scoop levels should be provided, how much it should be used, right? Again, batch number should be mentioned, and then protein efficiency ratio should be given if they are making, if they are selling it as high protein food, and specific name of the food additive should be mentioned, right? And yeah, I mean, these are very, very important things basically, so you can just go through it once, right? So further, the term humanized, maternalized, full protein food, energy food, complete food, health food. So these terms should not be mentioned. So FSS has clearly shared these terms should not be mentioned. It should be just mentioned infant milk substitute, right? So further, if you see, then they have also mentioned the container of the infant milk substitute meant for newborn babies of 37 weeks. So it should be clearly mentioned. The word premature baby born before 37 week, low birth weight, less than 2.5 kg. So I mean, minute details FSSAI has given, even lactose free, if this milk substitute is lactose free, sucrose free, and to be taken under medical advice. So all these declaration, they need to be mentioned, even hypoallergic formula to be taken under medical advice. So just go through it once. There is nothing much to remember, but I mean, these are very, very interesting thing, because you can relate this thing to your everyday life, right? So next, coming to the labeling of the edible oils and fats. So in case of edible oils and fats, so FSSAI has clearly mentioned the package or the label or the advertisement of the edible fat shall not use such expression, right? So FSSAI said you can simply mention edible oils and fat, but you should not use these fancy terms just to attract the customer, right? So super refined, extra refined, micro refined, double refined, ultra refined, anti-cholesterol, smoothing to heart, cholesterol friendly, saturated free fat. So all these terms are banned, because these are just, you are cheating the customers, right? So just mention edible oils and fats. So avoid mentioning all these on the food packet. So FSSAI is clearly mentioned on there in these regulations, right? So further, yeah, I mean, so this is again another declaration which need to be made, not for direct edible consumption. If those food, if that oil is not of food grade, so it should be clearly mentioned. So accidentally, no one use it for making the food, right? Not for direct edible consumption, for industrial non-edible use only. Even in case if it is used in industry, and that too for non-edible use, so that declaration, that label should be mentioned on the packet, right? So again, these are very, very basic things which you can just go through, right? So further, if you see, every container of the refined vegetable oil shall have the following label, that is refined and name of the oil. So again, I mean, you can see, for example, if you see your, if you go to your kitchen, you would see refined soybean oil, refined, I mean, any another oil, right? So just the name of the oil must be mentioned here, right? So if the oil is blended with another oil, for example, blend of palmolive and ground oil, so their percentage should be mentioned, right? So this declaration should be clearly mentioned. And also, if the oil is blended of imported rapeseed oil and mustard oil, so if it's a blend of different two oils, their percentage should be given, how much of rapeseed is used, how much of mustard seed is used, right? So now, every package of Vanaspati made from more than 30% rice bran oil should have the following declaration. This package of Vanaspati is made up of more than 30% of rice bran oil by weight. So this declaration must be provided, right? So further, if different color is used, for example, in certain oils, vegetable oils, annatto color is used. Annatto color gives the yellow color, right, to the oil. So if that is used, it should be clearly mentioned on the label. That is annatto color in oil, and name of the oil should be mentioned, right? And for the date of packaging, and if it is not, yeah, this is very, very important, guys. There shall be also the declaration in the bold capital letter along with the name of the product on the front panel, not to be sold loose. So FSSAI has clearly mentioned the edible vegetable oil should not be sold loose. So this is very, very important, right? Then further labeling of the permitted colors, so the type of color which are used, if food color mixture is used or normal food color is used, right? So these all declaration must be mentioned. Just go through it once, that's all, right? Then comes to, let's talk about the irradiated food. So also we talk about different irradiation methods, right, in our food preservation technique. So in that, guys, remember this is known as Radura logo, right? So now FSSAI has clearly mentioned for the irradiated food, the label of the food which has been treated with ionizing radiation shall carry a written statement indicating the treatment in the close proximity of the food. So now all the food which has been exposed to irradiation, right? So it should have such declaration that is processed by irradiation method, and date of the irradiation must be mentioned, and this is known as Radura logo. So this logo must be, for example, for organic food, there is Javik Bharat logo. For irradiated food, there is Radura logo. This name is Radura logo. So this must be printed on that packaged of food. Right. And apart from that, then the license number of the irradiation unit. So, irradiation unit, there are certain only few irradiation unit which are present in our country. So that license number must be mentioned, and purpose of the irradiation must also be mentioned, right? So now specific labeling requirement for other products. For example, coffee chicory mixture. You would have seen in coffee packets, some packets they provide pure coffee, but in some cases there is mixture of chicory. So in that case, this declaration must be provided: coffee blended with chicory, and their percentage must be given. Then if it's an instant coffee chicory mixture, so this declaration must be given with their percentage, how much percentage of coffee is used, how much percentage of chicory is used, right? So in case of condensed milk or desiccated milk, so this declaration must be given. That is, condensed milk unsweetened, condensed milk sweetened, right? So all these simple declaration, then condensed skimmed milk, then condensed milk with the sweetened, then not to be used for infant below 6 months, and yeah, this has been sterilized by UHT process. So yeah, I mean, simple things. If you see the label of the food, so tomorrow when you revise, you go through this document, just keep these few food packets with you. So this would give you a better idea, right? So I mean, again, just go through it, different type of regulations which need to be followed by the food business operator, right? So just skip this part, not at all important from the examination point of view. Why to, burden yourself? Yeah, you can just completely skip this part. Yeah, in case of light black pepper, then this must be mentioned. In case of cassia bark, this label should be mentioned. In case of cinnamon packets, so cinnamon, this should be mentioned, right? So I mean, yeah, these are just basic things. So just you go through it. In case you have any doubt, guys, you can just approach me, right? So in case of iron fortified common salt, so this must be the declaration which should be used, right? So in case of flavored tea, common name of the flavor which is used in percentage should be mentioned. So I mean, these are the simple regulations, these are the simple declaration which FSSAI says that should be present on the food, whichever food that you buy from the market, right? So guys, I think that's it. Yeah, I mean, just on the pre-packaged food, I mean, drinking water. So packaged drinking water, this label must be mentioned, and also crush the bottle after use. So this declaration should be provided. Then contain, if any food contains caffeine, so contain caffeine label should be provided. And low fat paneer, chana, this should be mentioned. Then remove the outer package before consumption, because in some cases, there is a polyfilm wrapping of the cloth, which is on the some food packet. So in those cases, the customer does, if to avoid the customer from consuming that wax along with the food, it should be given, clearly given, that remove the outer package before consumption, right? So yeah, I mean, guys, these are the simple regulations which are very, very interesting and also very, very easy. So you never know what kind of question can be asked from these regulations, right? So just go through it once and keep the food packets in front of you. So I've taught you the important things which from which questions can be asked, right? So if you have any doubt, just let me know, right? So guys, thank you so much. And guys, also one important thing. So I am also planning to finish your syllabus fast. I'm trying to, finish the syllabus within this week. So I am planning to take one class in the morning as well. So tomorrow there would be a class in the morning at 7 a.m. So guys, please be ready. So tomorrow one class would be at 7 a.m. And again, class would also be in the evening. So from tomorrow onwards, we'll cover the syllabus in two classes because I want you to just revise this as soon as possible because examination tentative date of the examination might be in January 2022, but you never know, right? In they can even conduct the exam in the month of December. So I want you to finish the syllabus once with me so that you can just focus on the revision, right? So tomorrow there will be class 7 a.m. in the morning, and again there would be second class 8 p.m. in the evening, right? So there would be two classes tomorrow onwards. So I'll be covering all these regulations basically. So there is nothing of that important thing because these documents are available with you as well. So if you get time, you can just go through it, right? So guys, tomorrow there'll be two classes, right? So I'll share the links with you. So please join tomorrow at 7 a.m. So thank you guys. Thank you so much. Good night.